Okay, welcome back to the Supernatural recap series. So whether you ended watching Supernatural at the end of season 5 or some other point, or if you love Supernatural and just want to hear about someone chatting about it, welcome back. So today we're on season 7. So this is a lot of people's least favourite season. And even though I do get where people are coming from, I think there's a lot of good themes this season, and some of my favourite episodes are in here, even if the baddies aren't so good this season. So season 7 starts off right at the end from season 6. So Cass has taken on all the souls from Purgatory and declares himself God. So he luckily doesn't kill the Winchesters, not that this would affect Supernatural too much as they would just come back. But anyway, he doesn't kill them, but says the Castiel, is gone and that they are just little ants. And he continues his power-hungry killing spree from last time. And he goes to heaven and kills all the angels that sided with Raphael in the Angel Civil War from last season. And this actually does get talked about in much later seasons as well, about how many angels Cass does kill, which is quite nice and so shows he did have quite a significant effect. He also goes to a church and kills people who lie in his name, i.e. God. And he puts up a stained glass window with himself, which I find quite cute. But yeah, it's a hard time at the moment to be a Castiel fan. So Cass goes and finds Crowley, who he had the deal with last season to split the souls, who he betrayed, and lets him be king of hell. The Winchester brothers then summon Crowley to help them stop Cass, but he says only Death can help them now. Now Cass is God. So the boys summon Death, and Death says he can't really help, but he introduces them to the idea of Leviathans. So these are monsters that were inside Purgatory, so they are now inside Cass as he took on the souls from Purgatory. And they were the first beasts. So they were before humans and angels, and they were the reason why God created Purgatory. So Leviathans, bad things. And they look a bit like this, which I'm not sure is the great editing, but that's what we got this season. So the brothers call Cass and ask him to release the souls. And he does actually agree, because basically his vessel can't handle all these souls that are inside him, and he's slowly bursting. So he agrees to give up the souls and put them back into Purgatory, luckily. So they open up Purgatory, release the souls, and you think it's all good, but the Leviathans, the monsters we talked about, stay inside them. So and Castiel's not able to give them up, they grip inside him. And they take over Cass, and then they make him walk into this water source where they get released, and they go into the water source all throughout America, and then get taken up into people that are drinking the water. So they're now all over America. And Cass is thought to be dead when this happens. And when I say this, I mean actually dead, not just supernatural dead. Misha thought he wasn't on Supernatural anymore. And we get to see Dean mourning Cass and carrying his trench coat around in the back of the Impala. This season, I wouldn't say there's any notable episodes that is a must watch to be part of the fandom, particularly ones that aren't too plot invested. I do quite like episode 6, which is Slash Fiction, where the Leviathans take clones of Sam and Dean, as Leviathans can clone people, and they sort of go on a killing rampage. But I think I just like that because I like exploring the plot of Sam and Dean being investigated by the police. But we do get lots of important people introduced to the Supernatural fandom this season. So this includes Garth, who I love. So this is in episode 8, Time for a Wedding. And he comes up in multiple episodes throughout many seasons. And yeah, I love him, so he's an important character.
You've been garfed.
What? No way, how is that possible? I garfed her.
Garth, are you drunk?
Dude, I just drank a whole beer. Of course I'm drunk.
Garth, why don't we put the sock away?
Mr. Fizzles wants to help Tess. He wants to listen.
Mr. Fizzle's gonna go when the sun don't shine.
I just feel like you needed to see some Garth to get the idea of Garth, because I can't describe him, but he is a great character. We also get Charlie introduced in episode 20, the girl with the Dungeons and Dragons tattoo. And again, she's along for a long time, and she's sort of meant to represent a lot of the fandom at the time. So think back to like 2012 fangirl Tumblr era. And back in 2012, I did love her. And she sort of has like a younger sister vibe to the brothers. We also get Kevin introduced in the 21st episode, Reading is Fundamental. And he's a prophet, and he again will come up in other seasons recaps, and he's shown as like a nerdy kid, and is another fan favourite. Not as much, I don't love him as much as Garth and Charlie, but again, these are characters that will keep coming up in some recaps. So if we go back to the main Leviathan storyline of the season, and as I said, they can clone people, and they basically clone Dick Roman. So he becomes the leader of the Leviathans, and he is like a billionaire businessman. So this season is full of dick jokes, which is a strange choice given a lot of the fandom was teenage girls at the time, but I'm sure someone appreciated them. And we find out that Leviathans can be killed, luckily, and with borax, so cleaning products randomly. So they do a few things, but one of the things I'm upset with the most is they kill Bobby, as I'm sure many people love Bobby. And this is actually like, Bobby is dead, like he doesn't come back. He does come back as a ghost and like as an alternative version of himself, but this Bobby is actually dead. So we have Dean going through it a lot as he's lost Cass and Bobby this season. Right, so if you remember at the end of last season, Castiel removes the wall in Sam's head that was protecting him from the memories of the time he was in the cage with Lucifer. And luckily, like for the plot, this sort of gets put on hold whilst the rest of the show's going on. But it does come back and we sort of see him have hallucinations of Lucifer. And then he does finally crack at some point. And he goes to a mental hospital as Lucifer's not letting him sleep. And I think this is a really strong storyline about Sam's trauma of being in the cage, which I feel like the show particularly glosses over both Sam and Dean's trauma, but at least with Dean they slightly discuss his trauma of being in hell, whereas I feel like Sam's glosses over a lot. And it's one of the few times in the show where they explore the psychological cost of everything the brothers have been through. And it's like one of the last central Sam plot lines we get, I feel like. And I do love Dean and Cass and all their plots, but I sometimes feel like Sam's personal development gets forgotten about for the last like 10 seasons of the show. So this all plays out in episode 17, The Born Again Identity. And I'd recommend watching that show if you are interested in sort of this plot point. But Dean goes to try and help Sam, obviously, and he reads about this healer called Emmanuel, and he goes to find him to go and help Sam. And dun dun dun, Cass isn't dead. So Dean goes to Emmanuel, but this is actually Cass. But Cass doesn't remember he's Cass, and he thinks he's Emmanuel, some magical healer. And this is episode 17, so Cass has been dead like the whole season until now, which is a long time. But luckily, he was meant to be dead, but the fans missed him so much, they did bring him back. And Emmanuel does come with Dean to go and help Sam. And luckily, Cass suddenly remembers everything and feels guilty about harming Sam. So he takes Sam's insanity and goes insane himself and sort of takes his place in the mental hospital. And we get Meg, the demon who Cass kissed last season, sort of look after him. And I actually really do like this dynamic between Cass and Meg. Interesting, but I do enjoy it. And yeah. So whilst this is going on, Dick is going about poisoning the food and making humans sort of brain dead and slowly killing them. And over time, Cass becomes less and less insane. So this is Cass in his like bee phase, where he's obsessed with bees and insects and games. And again, I think this is something you need to witness.
When I left, I wanted to observe the flowers. And fruit. Flowers come first, obviously. I could steal them from their cages, the monkeys. But where would I put them all? It's honey. I collected it myself. You know, should play Twister.
And even though we have Cass being slightly insane, there's still a moment where he agrees to go and die with Dean, which warms my heart. Okay, so let's wrap up the Surviving plotline. So we get insane Cass with Meg, and they go and help Sam and Dean to go and kill Dick Roman. So a classic supernatural plot where they find a list of all the things they need to go and kill Dick, so they go and gather up all those things. We get Dick makes copies of himself to protect himself, so they don't know which one's the real Dick. However, as Cass has hosted Dick, he can tell which one is him. So Dean takes Cass to go and kill Dick, and they do, as you can see here, but as it happens, they're standing too close to him, and they get chucked into purgatory. And that is the end of season 7, which sets up season 8 very nicely. So the Leviathans' plot line weren't the strongest, and Cass is basically missing this whole season, which is sad. But I do feel like some of the plots are good, so I enjoy exploring Sam's trauma, and Honey Cass can be entertaining sometimes. So this season really strips back to basically Sam and Dean after they lose Cass and Bobby, it being just them. And we slowly get introduced though to new characters that are going to be important for the rest of the seasons. We also get Leviathans being a different sort of monster again, so like a corporate monster who live in society and control food chains and act like a business, which maybe hits a bit too close to real life. So yeah, it's a good season. I feel like it gets a lot of hate. So yeah, the main villain is a bit boring, but actually some of the character development is good.